Hello and welcome. Before we begin, just take a moment to get comfortable. Take a deep breath in and let it all out. Tonight, we're doing something a little special. We are retelling the very first episode of Dragon Ball, but we've slowed it down and reimagined it as a gentle fairy tale to help you drift off. If you enjoy this format and want us to continue the story in future episodes, please let us know in the comments. Now, let's begin. Our story begins in silence, or at least the kind of silence that exists where people do not. We are at Mount Paozu. Imagine a landscape that looks like an ancient painting, the ink still wet and settling into the paper. These are not the jagged, angry mountains of a thriller movie. These are the limestone karst peaks of old China, rising vertically from the earth like fingers reaching for the clouds. They're softened by mist, that eternal white blanket that clings to the rock face, hiding the bottoms of the valleys and making the peaks look like floating islands. The air here is cool and smells of damp earth, pine needles, and the clean, sharp scent of ozone. If you listen closely, past the quiet, you can hear the life of this place. It creates a prehistoric symphony. There are birds calling out to one another, their songs echoing off the canyon walls, and the rustle of wind moving through millions of leaves. It is a place untouched by highways or power lines. It is untamed. And in the middle of this vast green solitude, there is a disruption, a rhythmic, heavy, thumping sound. It is the sound of something heavy rolling against the earth. We zoom in past the bamboo groves and the twisting vines to find a small, peculiar figure. This is Son Goku. He is a very small boy with very big presence. His hair is a marvel of geometry, black spikes jetting out in every direction, defying gravity with a stubbornness that defines his entire personality. And, perhaps most notably, he has a tail. It is a brown, furry appendage that sways behind him, full of its own life. Goku is working, though he certainly doesn't look like he considers it work. He is balanced on top of a log, but calling it a log feels like a disservice. This is a fallen titan of the forest, a massive timber, easily 4 times the size of the boy himself. It is thick, covered in rough, dark bark, and probably weighs as much as a small car, and Goku is running on top of it. He is rolling it down a dirt path, his small feet pattering against the wood like rain on a roof. Consider the physics of this for a moment. To move something that heavy requires force, but to stand on top of it while it moves requires a delicate, dancing balance. He is running forward to keep the log spinning backward, propelling the whole assembly down the mountain path at the speed of a runaway truck. The wind whips at his hair, but those black spikes hardly move. He is smiling. It is a wide, open smile, completely devoid of stress. For him, this feat of superhuman strength is just a morning stroll. The path is not smooth. It is an ancient trail riddled with roots that snake across the dirt like veins, and rocks that jut out unexpectedly. If you or I were rolling a massive log down a hill and hit a rock, the results would be catastrophic. The log would bounce, crush us, or send us flying. But when Goku's log hits a bump, the boy adjusts instantly. He hops, he skips. He treats the rolling, uneven surface of the wood like a playground. He is the happy warrior, finding a simple, pure joy in the exertion of his own muscles. Strapped to his back is a saw. It's a traditional wood saw with a wooden handle and a serrated metal blade. It bounces gently against his back as he runs. It is a tool for cutting wood, presumably why he is out here gathering timber. But as we watch him navigate the path, accelerating as the slope gets steeper, we get the sense that the saw is merely a decoration, a polite nod to how things are supposed to be done, before he does them his own way. The momentum builds. The heavy wooden rumble of the log against the path grows louder, a deep bass note vibrating through the forest floor. The trees blur past him in streaks of green and brown. The path ahead is running out. It terminates abruptly at the edge of a cliff, a sheer drop into the valley below. Most would panic. Most would try to brake. Goku just laughs. The log shoots off the edge of the cliff, sailing into the open air. For a moment, gravity seems to pause, considering its options. The boy and the massive tree trunk are suspended in the void, surrounded by blue sky and white clouds. Then, Goku moves. He leaps from the surface of the falling log, propelling himself higher. He spins in the air, his body a tight coil of potential energy. He comes down toward the wood, his hand flattened into a rigid shape. He lets out a shout, a sharp, clear sound that pierces the wind. His hand strikes the wood. Now, in the real world, a hand hitting a tree trunk results in a broken hand. But here, in the gentle logic of this world, the wood yields. The massive trunk doesn't just break, it shatters with precision. It splits instantly into perfectly sized, uniform cylinders of firewood. It is a moment of pure, satisfying order. The logs fall to the ground below, landing not in a chaotic heap, but in a neat, tidy stack, as if arranged by an invisible librarian. Goku lands softly beside them, his feet touching the grass with the lightness of a feather. He looks at his handiwork. The saw on his back remains untouched. Why use a saw when your hands are harder than iron? It is absurd, of course, but there is something deeply soothing about the efficiency of it. The universe here bends to the boy's will, tidying itself up to match his intentions. The quiet returns to the mountain, but it is quickly broken again. This time, the sound does not come from the forest, but from the boy. A low, rumbling growl emanates from his stomach. It is a sound so loud it disturbs a nearby bird. Hunger, the great motivator. The training is done, the wood is stacked, and now the biological engine that powers this small dynamo needs fuel. Goku wanders away from his neat pile of wood, his eyes scanning the dense underbrush. The forest is thick here, a tapestry of ferns, moss, and ancient trees with twisted roots. Shafts of sunlight pierce through the canopy, illuminating dancing dust motes in the air. He spots a treasure, a single, bright red apple hanging from a branch. He moves with the fluidity of a primate, scaling the tree in seconds. He plucks the apple. Let's focus on the apple for a moment. It is perfect. Smooth crimson skin, polished by the morning dew. Goku takes a bite. Imagine the sound, that crisp, wet snap of fresh fruit, the texture of the skin giving way to the white, granular flesh inside. The juice runs down his chin, sweet and tart. It is a simple pleasure, enjoyed fully. He chews happily, swinging his legs from the branch. When he is finished, he tosses the core over his shoulder. He does not look where he throws it. It is a careless, casual motion. The core flies through the air, spinning end over end, and lands with a soft thud. Unfortunately, it does not land on the ground. It lands on a head. Rising from the tall grass is a beast that has no business existing in the modern era. It is a Sabertooth Tiger, but designed with the exaggerated, vibrant flair of a child's imagination. It has gigantic fangs that curve down past its jaw, and its fur is a striking, menacing pattern. It had been sleeping, enjoying a sunbeam, until an apple core bounced off its skull. The tiger is, understandably, displeased. It lets out a roar that shakes the leaves on the trees. Most children would freeze. Most children would scream. Goku just looks down, realizing his mistake, but he doesn't look afraid. He looks mildly annoyed, like someone who just dropped their keys. The tiger lunges, its massive paws tearing up the earth. Goku leaps from the tree, and the chase begins. This is not a terrifying pursuit, it is a playful dance. They sprint through the forest. The animation of the world shifts here. The background begins to repeat. The same distinctively shaped fern, the same mossy rock, passing by again and again as they run. It is the visual rhythm of the chase, a hypnotic loop of green and brown. Goku is fast. He runs with his arms pumped high, his tail trailing behind him like a rudder. The tiger snaps at his heels, its breath hot and heavy. They are playing a game of tag, though only one of them knows the rules. Goku leads the beast toward another cliff edge. He knows this mountain like the back of his hand. As they approach the drop-off, Goku digs his heels into the dirt. He creates a cloud of dust, coming to a sudden, screeching halt. The tiger, heavy with momentum and blinded by rage, cannot stop. It slides past the boy, its claws carving furrows in the ground that aren't quite deep enough to save it. The tiger sails off the edge, and here we see the comedy of gravity. The beast hangs in the air for a second, looking down, realizing its situation. It looks back at Goku. Then, it falls. We don't hear a crash. We just watch it shrink into the distance, a fading dot in the vast canyon. Goku peers over the edge, watches the descent, and then laughs. He dusts his hands off, the universal gesture for problem solved. The tiger will be fine. In this world, bruises heal quickly, and gravity is more of a suggestion than a law. This encounter tells us everything we need to know about the boy's place in the food chain. He is not the prey. He is the king of this mountain. But the apple was just an appetizer. A growing boy needs protein. Goku hums a little tune as he makes his way to the river. The sound of the water changes as he approaches. It shifts from a distant murmur to a roaring, rushing presence. The river here is wild, churning with white-capped turbulence, suggesting a current that could sweep away a boulder. The water is a deep, icy blue, fed by the melting snows of the high peaks. Goku stands on the riverbank. He unties the sash of his blue martial arts uniform, his GI. He steps out of the heavy fabric, revealing a simple white loincloth. In the raw, natural state of the mountain, he is unbothered by the cool air on his skin. He wades into the shallows. The water laps at his ankles, cold and shocking, but he doesn't shiver. He finds a large, flat rock that juts out over the deeper part of the river. He crouches down on all fours. He does not have a fishing rod. He does not have a net. He has something better. He turns his back to the water and lowers his tail. The furry tip of his tail dips below the surface. He begins to wiggle it. In the dark, refracted world beneath the water, the tail looks like a distress signal. It mimics the movement of a drowning insect or a struggling worm. It is a lure, organic and irresistible. Goku waits. He is perfectly still, his eyes closed, listening to the rushing water and feeling the vibrations of the river through the rock. The scene shifts to the underwater perspective. We see the tail dangling, twitching invitingly. And then, from the murky depths, a shadow rises. It starts as a dark patch in the blue, growing larger and larger. It is immense. A giant fish. This is a river monster, a creature with bulging, glassy eyes and a mouth full of needle-like teeth. It rises with the speed of a torpedo, driven by the same hunger that motivates the boy. The water surface erupts. The fish breaches, launching itself into the air, its jaws gaping wide to swallow the boy whole. It is a terrifying sight, a wall of scales and teeth blocking out the sun. But Goku is already moving. He sensed the displacement of the water before the fish even broke the surface. He leaps straight up, propelling himself higher than the fish. For a split second, time seems to freeze. The fish is suspended at the apex of its jump, helpless in the air. Goku is above it, spinning. He executes a kick. It is a simple, clean motion. His small foot connects with the massive, scaly head of the fish. There is a sensation of impact, a heavy, dull thud that vibrates through the air. Speed lines flash across the scene, emphasizing the sheer velocity of the strike. The fish's eyes cross comically. It has been knocked out cold before it even knew what happened. The giant creature crashes onto the rocky bank, shaking the ground. It lies there, glistening in the sun, defeated by a boy a fraction of its size. Goku lands gracefully beside it. He touches the ground with his toes, his knees bending slightly to absorb the impact, silent and controlled. He looks at his catch. It is enormous, easily 3 times his size. A feast fit for a warrior. He finds a length of rope and ties it around the fish's tail. He hoists the rope over his shoulder and begins to walk back toward his home. The fish drags behind him, leaving a wet trail in the dirt. Goku resumes it humming, a cheerful, wandering melody. The violence of the kick is gone, replaced instantly by the domestic chore of bringing home dinner. The mountain settles back into its rhythm. The birds resume their songs. The wind picks up again, rustling the leaves. We have seen the boy roll a tree like a toy, outsmart a prehistoric tiger, and kick a river monster into submission. And to him, it is just a Tuesday. This is the life of Son Goku, solitary, strong, and deeply connected to the wild world around him. He walks up the path, the fish thumping gently against the ground behind him, unaware that his isolation is about to be broken, unaware that the world outside this misty mountain is rushing toward him in the form of a small, blue car. But that is a story for a few minutes from now. For now, let's just watch him walk, disappearing into the green, dappled light of the forest, the strongest boy in the world, thinking only of lunch. Take a deep breath. Let the image of the green forest settle in your mind. The cool water, the warm sun, the quiet strength. Rest here for a moment. The story will wait. The mountain will wait. You are safe here, watching from the trees as the world of Dragon Ball begins its slow, steady turn. While Goku walks, we cut away to a different view. A road winds through the mountains, a paved, grey ribbon that looks out of place amidst the bamboo and the limestone cliffs. Tearing along this road is a vehicle. It is a car, but not the boxy, utilitarian machines we see on our highways. This is a vehicle born from a specific artistic mind, a compact, rounded hatchback that resembles a mechanical beetle. It is painted a sleek, glossy metal with oversized tires that hum against the asphalt. It is a design that feels futuristic, yet grounded, heavy with the sense of gears and oil. Inside this metal capsule sits a girl. She is a striking splash of color against the earth tones of the mountain. Her hair is a vibrant turquoise, tied back with a red ribbon, and she wears a pink dress with her name, Bulma, written across it in bold letters. She is not looking at the road. Her attention is fixed on a small round device in her hand. It is a radar, an intricate piece of technology with a green grid screen. It is emitting a rhythmic, high-pitched pinging sound. It pulses with a steady cadence, a digital heartbeat guiding her towards something hidden deep in these woods. The convergence of these two eras, the boy with the tail and the girl with the technology, is inevitable. It happens around a blind corner. The road curves sharply around a massive rock face. Goku, hearing the roar of the engine, stops. To him, this is not a machine. He has never seen a machine. He hears a growl. He sees a fast-moving, shiny carapace. In his mind, this is a monster, a new predator challenging his territory. So instead of stepping aside, he stands his ground, planting his feet firmly in the center of the road. Bulma rounds the corner. Her eyes widen. She sees a small child standing directly in her path. She slams on the brakes. Let's slow this moment down. The brake pads clamp onto the rotors. The tires stop spinning, but the car's momentum carries it forward. The rubber screams against the pavement, burning and creating thick, acrid white smoke. The car skids sideways, drifting across the road. But physics is a harsh mistress, and the distance is too short. The side of the car strikes Goku. In a drama, this would be the end. We would hear the crunch of bone. But here, the collision is different. Goku is sent tumbling, rolling into the brush like a discarded doll. He flips over heels, crashing through ferns and bushes. But before the dust has even settled, he is up. He springs to his feet, not with a limp, but with a jump. He is uninjured. He's not bleeding. He is, however, furious. He reaches behind his back and draws a red pole, the power pole, or Nyoibo. He settles into a combat stance, his small face twisted into a snarl. "You monster!" he shouts at the car. "You want to steal my fish?" Bulma, shaken and trembling, opens the driver's side door. To Goku, this looks terrifying. The monster is opening its side, perhaps a mouth, and inside there is a creature, the girl. He decides, with the tactical swiftness of a seasoned warrior, to strike first. He rushes the vehicle. He does not attack the girl, he attacks the beast itself. He grabs the front bumper of the car with his small hands. He digs his feet into the asphalt, the muscles in his small legs tensing like steel cables. With a guttural shout that echoes off the canyon walls, he lifts. The metal of the car groans. The suspension creaks and snaps. The entire automobile, a ton of steel, glass, and rubber, rises into the air. Bulma, still inside, screams as her world tilts vertically. Goku holds the car over his head, balancing it like a beach ball. Then he throws it. He hurls the car away with a casual, terrifying strength. It flies through the air, crashing onto its side a few meters away. The wheels spin uselessly in the air, whirring with a dying mechanical hum. The glass of the headlights shatters, tinkling onto the road like spilled diamonds. Bulma scrambles out of the wreckage, crawling through the passenger door. She is terrified. She is staring at a small child who just bench-pressed her transportation. She falls back against the road, her eyes wide. Goku approaches, pole raised, ready to finish the job. Bulma, cornered and panicking, resorts to the only defense she has left. She reaches into a holster and draws a firearm. It is a chunky, menacing, semi-automatic weapon. She does not hesitate. She points it at the boy and pulls the trigger. The sound of gunfire shatters the mountain silence. Bang! 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 3 shots. We see the muzzle flashes, bright and harsh. We see the casings eject, spinning through the air in slow motion, catching the sunlight. The bullets fly across the short distance. They strike Goku directly in the forehead and chest. In our world, the story ends here. But on Mount Paozu, the laws of biology are different. The bullets hit Goku's skin, but they do not penetrate. They flatten upon impact, like lead balls hitting a tank. The kinetic energy is still there. It knocks Goku backward, sending him tumbling onto his backside. He sits up, rubbing his forehead. "Ouch!" he cries, his voice full of genuine complaint. "That hurts!" Bulma lowers the gun, smoke curling from the barrel. She stares. There is no blood. On Goku's forehead, there is merely a red welt, slowly fading. He rubs it vigorously, grimacing, but he is fundamentally fine. Bulma's jaw drops. Her scientific mind cannot process the data in front of her. "You," she stammers, "you're not human." This is our first real understanding of what Goku is. He is flesh and blood, yes, but of a density that defies logic. He has steel skin. It is a narrative permission slip, letting us know that the violence in this world will be slapstick, not tragic. The tension shifts now. Goku realizes the monster is dead, or at least incapacitated, and he turns his attention to the creature that emerged from it. He walks over to Bulma. He has lived alone since his grandfather died. He has seen fish, tigers, monkeys, and bears. He has never seen a girl. He circles her, sniffing the air. He is behaving exactly like a curious dog encountering a new visitor. He leans in close, invading her personal space with zero awareness of social boundaries. "You look funny," he observes. He walks behind her. "Where is your tail?" Bulma, trying to salvage the situation and terrified of being thrown like the car, stammers out an explanation. "I'm a human. I'm a girl." Goku tilts his head. The concept means nothing to him. "A girl?" And here we reach a moment of profound cultural misunderstanding. Goku, a child of nature, decides to verify this claim using the only method he knows. In the wild, animals are distinguished by physical traits. He moves with a sudden, innocent speed. In the uncut telling of this tale, he reaches out, or perhaps uses his foot, to gently tap the area where, in his experience, a male would have certain anatomy. It is a pat-pat, a soft, investigative touch, a biological audit. His eyes widen in shock. He pulls back, genuinely flabbergasted. "You have no balls," he exclaims, as if pointing out she is missing an ear or a nose. Bulma turns a shade of red that rivals the sunset. The indignity overrides the fear. She screams a high-pitched sound of pure offense and slaps him across the face. The slap makes a sharp, stinging sound, arguably hurting him more than the bullets did. It is a crude moment, yes, but in the slow narration of this story, it reads as a clash of civilizations, the absolute wilderness meeting the absolute modern. Goku is not being lewd, he is being scientific in the most primitive way possible. He is learning that humanity comes in two distinct varieties, a fact he finds baffling. Once the shouting subsides and Bulma realizes she isn't going to be eaten, and Goku realizes Bulma isn't a monster, a truce is formed. Goku, driven by his grandfather's teachings to be kind to others, invites her back to his home for food. They walk up the path together. Goku's house is a small, humble hut, nestled against the side of a cliff. It is made of wood and thatch, blending perfectly with the forest. Inside, the light changes. It becomes dim and golden, filtered through paper windows. The air smells of old wood, incense, and dried herbs. It is a sanctuary. Goku leads Bulma to a small altar in the corner of the room. He moves with a sudden reverence, his bouncy energy settling into a quiet respect. On a cushion sits an object. It is a crystal ball, roughly the size of a baseball. It is a deep, warm orange, translucent and glowing with an inner light. Inside the orange glass, floating in suspension, are 4 red stars. Goku kneels before it. "Hi, Grandpa," he says softly. He turns to Bulma and explains, with total sincerity, that this ball is his grandfather. Since the old man passed away, his soul has resided in this glowing orb. It is a heartbreaking detail, delivered with a smile. Goku is a lonely child, clinging to a magical object because it is the only family he has left. He talks to it every day. He polishes it. It is the center of his small world. Bulma, however, is not looking at it with reverence. She is looking at it with greed. She recognizes the object instantly. She digs into her bag, rummaging through tools and capsules, and produces 2 more orbs. She places them on the floor next to Goku's. One has 2 stars, the other has 5. The reaction is immediate. The 3 balls, now in proximity, begin to resonate. A low, humming sound fills the small hut. They pulse with a synchronized light, flashing in a rhythm that feels ancient and powerful. The orange glow illuminates the wooden walls, casting long, dancing shadows. Goku is stunned. He stares at the balls, his mouth slightly open. "You have other grandpas?" he asks. Bulma shakes her head. She realizes she needs to explain. She needs to bridge the gap between his superstition and the reality of what these objects are. She stands up, adopting a professorial tone. She points to the stars and the balls. "These aren't souls, Goku," she says. "These are Dragon Balls." She begins to tell the legend. It is a story that will drive the narrative for decades to come, but here, in this quiet hut, it sounds like a fairy tale. She explains that there are 7 balls in total, scattered across the face of the earth. Each one is numbered from 1 star to 7 stars. They are lifeless, on their own, pretty stones and nothing more. "But," she whispers, leaning in, "if you gather all 7 together, if you bring them to one place and speak the incantation, something miraculous happens. The sky will turn black, thunder will crack, and from the balls, the eternal dragon, Shenron, will rise." She describes the dragon, a serpent of endless length, green scales and eyes that burn like red suns, a god that waits in the void. And this god, she explains, can grant a wish. Not just any wish, any wish. Goku listens, captivated. The scope of it is beyond his comprehension. "Any wish?" he asks. "Yes," Bulma says. She talks of kings who could wish for immortality, of generals who could wish for ultimate power, of the poor who could wish for endless riches. The power to reshape reality itself lies within these 7 glass spheres. Goku looks at her. He looks at the glowing balls. "So," he asks, "what do you want to wish for?" Bulma pauses. She looks away, twirling a strand of her turquoise hair. We expect a noble goal. Perhaps she wants to solve world hunger. Perhaps she wants to discover the secrets of the universe. "I want..." She starts, a blush creeping up her cheeks. "I want the perfect boyfriend." The silence in the hut is heavy. The juxtaposition is staggering. Here is a cosmic mechanism, a power that defies the laws of nature, capable of raising the dead or altering history. And this girl, this technological genius, wants to use it to secure a date. It is the perfect encapsulation of the show's spirit, epic stakes driven by the most mundane human desires. The universe is vast and magical, but people are still just people. Bulma then tries to make her move. She reaches for Goku's 4-star ball. "So, I'll just take this one." Goku's hand shoots out, grabbing her wrist. The playfulness is gone. "No!" he barks. "That's Grandpa! You can't have him!" Bulma freezes. She looks at the boy's grip. She remembers the car being thrown. She remembers the bullets bouncing off his head. She realizes that force is not an option here. She cannot steal the ball from a boy who is stronger than a hydraulic press. She must use her other weapon, her intellect. She softens her expression. She pulls her hand back and smiles, a crafty, calculating smile. She changes tactics. If she can't take the ball, she will take the boy. Fine, she says, waving her hand dismissively. "You keep the ball, but wouldn't Grandpa want to see his brothers? Wouldn't he want to go on an adventure?" She spins a web of words. She tells Goku that she is on a dangerous journey to find the remaining balls. She is just a defenseless girl. A lie, considering the gun, but effective. She needs a bodyguard. She needs someone strong. Someone who can crush rocks and catch fish. You can come with me, she offers. You can bring Grandpa along. He'll be safe with you. And you can see the world. You can get stronger. Goku hesitates. He looks at the 4-star ball. He looks around his small dark hut. He remembers his grandfather's voice, telling him to be strong, to be kind, to help girls. The world outside is a mystery to him, a place of monsters and metal beetles. But the promise of strength appeals to his warrior spirit, and the idea of protecting his grandfather while seeing the world. It feels right. Okay, Goku says, nodding firmly. I'll go. The agreement is struck, a pact between the wild and the civilized. They gather the balls. Goku packs his few belongings, mostly his power pole. They step out of the hut. Goku turns back to look at his home one last time. He closes the door. The sound of the latch clicking shut is the sound of an era ending. The solitary life of the Monkey King is over. The great adventure has begun. Bulma leads the way back to the road, checking her radar. Goku follows, the 4-star ball tucked safely in a pouch, his tail swaying behind him. They walk away from the sanctuary of the mountain, stepping into the unknown, while the wind rustles the trees in a soft, whispering farewell. The dust has finally settled on the mountain road, drifting slowly to the asphalt like microscopic snow. The violence of the car crash has faded into a heavy, sun-drenched silence. We are left standing before the wreckage of Bulma's vehicle, that compact blue mechanical beetle that Goku so effortlessly tossed aside. It lies on its side, a sad monument to the collision of eras. The wheels are still spinning, but lazily now, just a slow rhythmic ticking as the momentum dies. You can hear the metal groaning as it settles, the distinct tink-tink sound of a hot engine cooling down in the mountain breeze. It is undeniably totaled, a casualty of a culture clash between the modern world and a boy who genuinely believes automobiles are monsters that need to be put down. Goku stands there, his small feet planted firmly on the pavement. He looks at the wreckage, then turns his gaze to the girl. He reaches up and scratches his head, the stiff black spikes of his hair shifting with the movement. His expression is one of pure, practical curiosity. There's no guilt, no worry about insurance premiums. So, he asks, his voice cutting through to the quiet, well, how do we go now? Bulma does not look worried. In fact, she looks remarkably smug for someone stranded in the wilderness with a feral child. She brushes a speck of dust from her dress and reaches for a small case attached to her belt. It is a sleek metal container, the kind that snaps open with a satisfying, precise click. Inside, nestled in foam like precious jewels, are rows of smooth, metallic cylinders. Her fingers dance over them, hovering for a moment before selecting one. It is a small capsule, no larger than a thumb. It is white and grey, cool to the touch, with the number 9 printed clearly on its side in a bold, sans serif font. It looks like a heavy vitamin, or perhaps a very large piece of industrial candy. She holds it up to the light, letting the sun glint off the polished surface. You can see the reflection of the mountains in the curve of the metal. With a flick of her wrist, a practiced, casual motion, she depresses a small button on the top of the cylinder. There is a tiny, electronic chirp. She tosses it onto the open road. Goku watches it fall. He expects nothing. It is, after all, just a small metal pill tumbling through the air. It hits the asphalt with a hollow clack, bounces once and rolls for a few inches. And then physics decides to take a holiday. There is a sudden, billowing eruption. It isn't an explosion of fire, but of displacement. A thick, opaque cloud of white smoke bursts outward, expanding rapidly to fill the space. It moves with a soft, rushing sound, like a sudden release of high-pressure steam or a giant sigh from the universe itself. The smoke swirls, heavy and dense, momentarily obscuring everything. As the white cloud begins to dissipate, drifting away on the wind, a shape emerges from within it. The pill is gone. In its place sits a motorcycle. But this is not just any motorcycle. It is a beautiful machine, a triumph of design that fits perfectly into this world's retro-futuristic aesthetic. It has a rounded, heavy body, painted a glossy gunmetal grey with bright yellow accents. The tires are broad and knobby, clearly meant for rough terrain, smelling of fresh, unblemished rubber. There is a protective glass cowling that curves over the handlebars, gleaming in the sunlight. Stamped proudly on the side, in that same bold font, is the name Bulma. It sits there, idling silently, gleaming with chrome and polished paint, smelling of fresh oil and potential energy. Goku's jaw drops. He steps back, his eyes widening until they are perfect circles. To a boy who has lived his entire life among trees, rocks, and tigers, this is not engineering. This is impossible. Witchcraft, he shouts, pointing an accusatory finger at the bike. His voice cracks with the intensity of his accusation. You're a sorcerer. Bulma laughs. It is a bright, tinkling sound that seems to bounce off the canyon walls. She swings her leg over the seat, the leather creaking softly under her weight. She adjusts her gloves, pulling them tight, reveling in his confusion. It's not magic, silly, she says, her voice echoing the superiority of the civilized world. It's science. My father invented it. It's a hoi-poi capsule. She begins to explain, though Goku barely listens. She talks about how matter can be compressed, how atoms can be rearranged and hidden away in pocket dimensions, and then summoned at will. It is the ultimate convenience, the hallmark of this world's technological utopia. It is a world where you can carry a house in your pocket and a car in your purse. She turns the key. The bike roars to life. It purrs, a deep, throaty rumble that vibrates through the soles of their feet and shakes the dust from the road. It is the sound of power. Hop on, she commands, patting the seat behind her. Goku approaches the machine warily. He climbs onto the back. The seat is soft, unlike the rocks and logs he's used to sitting on. He hesitates, unsure of where to put his hands. He hovers them in the air for a moment, then eventually clutches the metal bar at the back of the seat. The bike surges forward. The sensation is entirely new to him. It is speed, without effort. He watches the trees blur past, transforming into streaks of green and brown. The wind whips through his hair, tugging at his clothes. A grin spreads across his face, wide and wild. He is flying without jumping. He is running without moving his legs. While our heroes speed down the winding mountain pass, leaving the safety of the known world behind, the narrative I drifts away. We leave the sunlight and the green trees. We move across the landscape, over valleys and rivers, to a place where the sun does not seem to shine quite as brightly. The air grows cooler, damper. We find ourselves looking at a castle. It is a dark, Gothic structure, bristling with spires and domes. But these are not the sharp spires of Europe. They are rounded, resembling giant, gloomy mushrooms sprouting from the dark earth. Thunder rumbles in the distance, a low, theatrical growl that sets a mood of classic villainy. We drift inside. The corridors are long and shadowed, lit by flickering torches that cast dancing orange light against the cold stone. We can hear the drip, drip, drip of water echoing in the distance. We enter a throne room. It is a vast space with high ceilings and velvet drapes, but it feels too large for its occupant. Sitting on the throne is Emperor Pilaf. He is a small creature, diminutive and blue-skinned. He is dressed in an outfit that suggests a mix of Napoleonic grandeur and a court jester's wardrobe. He wears a ruffled collar that looks itchy and a hat with a ball on the end that bobs when he moves. He looks like a disgruntled pickle who has declared himself king of the pantry. He is not alone in this damp, stony gloom. Flanking him are his loyal, if incompetent, henchmen. To his left stands Shu, a ninja dog. He is an anthropomorphic Shiba Inu, dressed in full purple shinobi garb, complete with a sword strapped to his back. He stands with the quiet, twitchy loyalty of a canine, his ears swiveling at every sound. To the right is Mai, a woman with long, dark hair and a heavy trench coat. She carries herself with the seriousness of a spy in a cold war thriller, a stark contrast to the absurdity of her boss. They are gathered around a pedestal in the center of the room. Resting on a velvet cushion, glowing softly in the dim light, is a Dragon Ball. It glows with that familiar warm orange light, a beacon in the darkness. Inside the glass, floating in perfect suspension, is a single red star. Pilaf is ranting. His voice is high and reedy, echoing off the stone walls. He speaks of his destiny. He does not want a boyfriend. He does not want strawberries. He wants to rule the world. He gestures wildly with his small blue hands, outlining a plan of total domination. He dreams of a world where all nations will bow to his pint-sized authority, where his face will be on every coin and stamp. This scene casts a shadow over Bulma and Goku's sunny adventure. They believe they are on a treasure hunt, a lark to find some magic orbs. They do not yet know that they are in a race. Somewhere at this dark castle, a radar blips, a cold electronic pulse signaling that the other balls are moving. The pieces are on the board and the game has begun. We cut back to the bright, sun-drenched canyon. The contrast is blinding. The motorcycle slows to a halt, the engine ticking as it dies. We are in a rocky gorge now, the walls rising high and red on either side, trapping the heat. It is a desolate, dry place. The air shimmers above the asphalt, distorting the horizon. Bulma kills the engine. She looks uncomfortable. She does a little dance in place, hopping from one foot to the other, her face pinched. "Stop!" she cries out. "I need a pit stop." Goku tilts his head, sitting on the idling bike, perfectly comfortable. A pit stop? The vocabulary of the road trip is foreign to him. To him, the world is one giant bathroom. Bulma doesn't explain. She simply grabs a handful of tissues from her bag. "Don't you dare peek!" she yells back, her voice echoing off the canyon walls. She scrambles up a rocky embankment, her pink dress flashing against the red stone, and disappears behind a large boulder. Goku shrugs. He has no interest in peeking. He leans back against the warm metal of the motorcycle, enjoying the sun on his face. He closes his eyes, listening to the silence of the canyon. He hears the wind whistling through the cracks in the rocks. He hears a lizard scuttling across the sand. But then, the silence is broken. From high above, a screech tears through the air. It is not the call of a bird. It is something older, something reptilian. It is a primitive, piercing sound that triggers an instinctual alarm in the brainstem. A shadow falls over the canyon floor, large and swift, blotting out the sun. Goku opens his eyes and looks up. Descending from the blue sky is a nightmare from the Jurassic period, a pterodactyl. It is massive, with leathery green wings that span the width of the road. You can see the veins pulsing in the thin membrane of the wings. Its beak is long and yellow, filled with serrated teeth, and its eyes, cold, yellow, and predatory, scan the ground for easy prey. It spots Bulma. She is vulnerable, crouching behind the rock. The beast folds its wings and dives. It becomes a missile of feathers as scales, dropping with terrifying speed. Bulma screams. It is a raw, terrifying sound. The dinosaur's talons, thick as iron hooks and rough as sandpaper, clamp around the back of her dress. With the powerful, rhythmic beat of its wings that kicks up a cloud of dust, it lifts her off the ground. She flails, her feet kicking uselessly at the air as she is hoisted rapidly toward the cliff tops. "Goku, help me!" Her voice is thin and desperate, drifting down from the sky. Goku reacts instantly. The lethargy of the sunbath vanishes. He leaps from the motorcycle, his face set in a mask of absolute concentration. He looks up. He cannot fly. Not yet. The dinosaur is gaining altitude fast, heading for a nest perched high on a jagged spire of a rock. Goku reaches behind his back. He feels the smooth, lacquered wood of his staff. He unslings it in one fluid motion, the movement practiced and precise. He lands on a rock outcropping, looking up at the retreating beast. It is too far for a jump. It is too far to throw a stone. He aims the staff. He holds it with both hands, pointing it like a rifle at the flying predator. He takes a deep breath, centering his energy. He shouts the command, his voice echoing with power. "Power pole! Extend!" The laws of physics, which had already taken a beating with the capsule, now shatter completely. The red wooden staff obeys the command. It elongates. It shoots upward with the speed of a bullet, stretching, growing, defying the conservation of mass. It becomes a red streak in the sky, a laser beam of wood extending infinitely upward. The tip of the pole strikes the pterodactyl square on the forehead. Thwack. It is a satisfying, heavy sound, like a bat hitting a melon. The dinosaur's eyes bulge comically. The impact stuns it instantly. Its beak falls open, a string of saliva drifting out, and its talons go slack. It releases its prize. The beast begins a dizzy, spiraling descent, crashing into the canyon wall with a heavy thud. But now, Bulma is falling. She plummets through the air, screaming, her arms pinwheeling. Goku does not panic. He retracts the pole with a thought, the wood shrinking back to its original size in a blink. He leaps again, bounding up the cliff face like a mountain goat, finding footholds where there are none. He intercepts her fall. In some versions of this tale, he catches her in his arms. In others, he uses the pole to pin her clothes to the cliff face, arresting her momentum just before she hits the ground. Either way, it is a rescue worthy of a hero. He lowers her gently to the sandy floor of the canyon. Bulma is trembling. She stands there, her knees knocking together. Her heart is hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. She is alive. The adrenaline is pumping through her veins, but as the fear subsides, a new sensation takes over. A wave of heat rushes to her face. She looks down at her skirt. She clutches the fabric tightly. The terror of being snatched by a dinosaur has had a physiological side effect. She has lost control. Goku looks at her. He tilts his head, noticing the dampness, the way she is standing. He doesn't understand shame. He doesn't understand social embarrassment. He points, a bright, happy grin on his face. "Yes, you peed your pants," he laughs. "You were so scared you wet yourself." It is crude. It is earthy. It is the unvarnished truth of the situation. Bulma turns a shade of red that defies description. "Shut up!" she shrieks, the humiliation burning hotter than the dinosaur's breath. "Don't look! Don't say that!" She chases him around the motorcycle, throwing rocks, her dignity in tatters. Goku laughs, dodging effortlessly. This is the dynamic that will carry them across the world. The brilliant, high-maintenance city girl who tries so hard to be sophisticated, constantly brought low by the wild, chaotic nature of the world. And the boy, the wild child, who sees everything and judges nothing, finding humor in the basic functions of life. Eventually, they compose themselves. The pterodactyl is gone. The bike is restarted. Bulma dries her tears and her dress, and they climb back onto the machine. The engine revs again. They speed off, leaving the canyon behind, driving toward the setting sun. The light has changed now. The harsh white of midday has softened into the golden hour. The sky is streaked with purple and orange, the shadows stretching long and thin across the road. The camera pulls back, rising high into the air, turning the motorcycle into a small speck moving across a vast, beautiful painting of mountains and rivers. And as they ride, the narrator's voice returns. It is deep, resonant, and filled with a sense of wonder, signaling the end of our first chapter. And so, the voice intones, the meeting of two worlds has taken place. A boy with a tale and a girl with a dream. They travel now into the great unknown. They do not know what lies ahead. They do not know of the armies they will face, the friends they will make, or the stars they will cross. They only know that the road is open and the Dragon Balls are waiting. The music swells, a romantic, wistful string section that promises adventure and nostalgia in equal measure. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of twilight. The first day is done. The legend has begun. Sleep well, friends. The journey is long, but we have all the time in the world.